Hi, everybody. This is day 1623. I hope so. Yeah, 1000. I hope that's accurate. It's quite a bit of days. It's quite difficult to keep up with all of this because it is absolutely so crazy, everything. Okay. Oh, I'm on. I'm on and I can see your comments. This is going to be an interesting little discussion here. Things are getting a little bit complicated, as you know. Uh, we have, just about 24 hours left in Christmastide. Tomorrow, well, in an hour, about an hour, it will be the last day of Christmas. I hope everyone takes time out to realize what a miracle Christmas is, and why we, through the ages, have made it such a big celebration because all we like sheep have gone astray, right? We've gone astray. And, you know, God has been merciful to to manifest himself, um, for the world. And, to make it seen, to the very, very humble. Um, it's just, if you don't read the Magnificat in the evening for evening prayer, I really suggest it because, with the past decades, we have been groomed. I think we've been groomed to be very, very selfish, to think about ourselves. And this is, I always called it like and Oprah probably won't like me saying it, the Oprahization. Um, it never, I always thought it was a very, very dangerous thing that she was doing on her show. Telling people to care for themselves first. That it sounds all nice, and of course we need to care for ourselves, um, but I just think it was a very, very dangerous thing, um, to make it such. Anyway, so you chase happiness or you chase uh, your own self. Sometimes we don't even know what we want, right? How to take care of ourselves. We don't even know it. Um, the bottom line is we need to do what's right. Um, we need to do what's right, and what's right is God's will on earth as it is in heaven. That's my belief, and sometimes it doesn't always feel good. Sometimes it is hell. The last 4 years fighting for Richard has not been fun. Um, Not something I want to be doing. I'd rather be doing other things. But, this is what is right. And we are absolutely seeing God's hand all over this and very grateful for doing what's right because look at Richard. He's such a hero. He is such a hero. Um, because we know, at the beginning they withheld the information from us that our son was a whistleblower. Now we know that. We've confirmed that. Um, so he's a whistleblower. Uh, and, that makes a lot of sense in so many ways. And today we're talking about terminal CWO. And of course, that's Sam Shoemate, talking about him tonight in this respect of the operations, I call them asymmetric warfare tactics, these operations that were clearly done with us, with Richard, and now we have found that Richard is a whistleblower, and everything makes sense because of what he was whistleblowing on, what was happening on Fort Bliss, and that it was so bad. It was so bad. And, he is absolutely right. It's so bad because now Fort Bliss has this name of being a death camp. A death camp. Now, that name cannot be put on a military installation unless it's very, very bad there, right? And we know hundreds of thousands of unaccompanied children were trafficked up through the border and into Fort Bliss and registered. And then now they're mostly dead. Where did they go? That's why they call it the death camp. But also, many, many soldiers, um, you know, you're on Fort Bliss, you should be in a safer place than you would be in your own family home, right? Because of all the security. But that has been false. The security breaches are so enormous and so bad that the only explanation is that there is a criminal syndicate working within and on Fort Bliss. And so that, I want to make that very, very clear about this Trojan horse, about this criminal syndicate working within and on Fort Bliss, and all of these breaches of security from the CID office to the IG office to the MPs to the command, and in operations on Fort Bliss. So how did all this happen? And we absolutely know that there are illegal operations connected with Richard's unit. We know that there is a connection with Richard's unit with the Walmart mass shooting case. We know that the Walmart mass shooting case were absolutely illegal operations that had seals and deals and deals and seals and civilian scheming going on with illegal meetings, and that Judge Sam Madrano is absolutely up to no good, and that Joe Spencer is absolutely up to no good, and that John Briggs is absolutely up to no good. We know that El Paso Matters with Bob Moore and El Paso Community Foundation is absolutely up to no good. We know that the illegal medical examiner, Mario Raskin Ortiz, is absolutely up to no good. We know that the VA IDS Pablo James Courtney Hart is absolutely up to no good and part of the prime suspects in the murder of our son. His son, Dallas Hart, is the prime suspect of the prime suspect, Richard's platoon leader, in the murder of our son, Richard. And Leilani Hart, James's wife at the time, and Dallas Hart's mother was having an affair with the CID agent Tavita Nusa, and absolutely up to no good, and are prime suspects in the murder of Richard. Matter of fact, they've been reported in multiple agencies for tampering with files. We know that there is tampering with files. We know that there is tampering with the surveillance footage. We know that Leilani Hart, at the same time that Richard was murdered, July 2020, she's confessed a sworn confession to all the crimes that Richard was murdered for, or was what he was reporting on. Really, really major felonies that she was confessing to in her family, involving her family, implicating her family. And, we know that the FBI, Jesus Eddie Nieto Jr., is compromised by Angela Kachurga of UTEP. We believe that through that whole house purchase thing, they were up to no good. It looks it stinks. It stinks maybe like of bribery or something. I don't know. I don't know if it was. I'm just saying it's stinky. It is very stinky. And we know that the FBI, Jesus Eddie Nieto, did not do his job, that he was absolutely up to no good. And his wife in intelligence on Fort Bliss, Cynthia Hernandez, up to no good with Bradford Bugado, the lieutenant colonel in the G3 of the 32nd ADCOM, and his father-in-law, Nadal Baim, who, said, and I even talked to him on the phone, that Richard was found, we have him on video, that the FBI had found Richard's remains in Mexico, partial remains in Mexico, that he was dead. Okay, this is when they were withholding evidence. And then, the circle comes full around with him being part of Western Frontier Trading and the ammunition contract, different contracts, and there's other LLCs. And that's then goes full circle back to the Hearts. So, and I didn't even cover a lot of things, a lot of individuals. Um, but the point that I'm making is that we know that there has been an infiltration, that there has been criminal activity on Fort Bliss and in El Paso that is unlawful, totally unlawful, and has breached security and is within the system, and just like the criminal law, um, the El Paso Criminal Law Magistrate Court, these individuals that have denied the people of El Paso their election, that they are, appointed as judges illegally, violating the Texas Constitution that says if you have full jurisdiction in a court, which um, the magistrate court has full jurisdiction over El Paso County, that those individuals that will serve as judges must be elected. Well, none of them are elected. None of them are elected. So they are absolutely in violation of the Texas Constitution and have no authority to do what they're doing. And anybody aiding and abetting them is also violating the law, is also unlawful. And so it is a real mess there in El Paso and on Fort Bliss. And Shawn Bernabe was really pushing a false narrative with us. He was the commander, now a 3-star general commander, because of what we believe, what we have reports on, is um, the trying to cash in on Richard's death. If this is true, if individuals were impersonating our family so that they could cash in on Richard's death, and that would be one of the reasons why they didn't notify him, notify our family, right? Um, and why would they do that? Richard was adopted. Maybe they felt like we wouldn't care, right? Um, that we would that we wouldn't care about our son, you know. Um, and I have to, I am going to be so honest, and I don't have to say this, but I've always forgotten that we've adopted them. That's how much they are part of us. And ha- from the very minute that Robert reached out his hand and called me Mamo, that's just our family, and they have these criminal groups have absolutely targeted us and tried to put forth a false narrative about Richard, about our family, and they have absolutely failed because um, there isn't anything there except for the truth. that we are a close, very functional, happily functional family that love each other, and that we're a law abiding, and we honor our country. We are patriots. We just don't have records. I mean, they have a hard time even finding a speeding ticket in our family, you know? This was their problem, because they will absolutely comb through your life. And I'm not saying, passing judgment on anybody. They comb through your life, and they will absolutely exploit anything that you do. And this is very, very important for everyone to understand, that they will absolutely exploit, and they will twist and turn. And, like Richard's very, very innocent, uh, buying Hollywood money to give to the kids down at the school that he was teaching at. You know, some people buy candy, some people buy little toys. He bought Hollywood money and say, "Hey, stand in line, right, and wait your turn, and act right. I'll give you a Benjamin." He bought he bought those in Ireland too, with his karate kids. Um, and it says, and then the CID tried to twist that and turn that and everything like that. They just tried to exploit. They couldn't find anything on him. He's just such a hero, such a, in the words of several people that I've talked to that were helping him during that time, is oh my gosh, how sweet. He's so sweet. So I just want that to be the foundation of our conversation going into terminal CWO. And Sam Shoemate on Matthew Livelsberger and Shawn Ryan. And if you don't know what's going on, I'll give you just a brief summary. This active duty, uh, and I am not an expert on this at all. I just want to tell you how it relates to our son's case, and our point of view about what is happening right now in the intelligence community, because we do get intelligence. We do understand through Team Find Richard Halliday, through I want to call it Team Justice for Richard Halliday now, because we know that Richard was murdered on Fort Bliss. We have the receipts, and we want his remains, and so we want justice. We want the accountability. That's where we're at right now. And and we really have a not a complete picture of this whole incident, but we have an understanding of it, and we want to share with that, because it does. It's really important because of what I was talking about yesterday about closing down Fort Bliss. Fort Bliss being called a death camp, needed to be closed down. Um, I wanted to make it very, very clear that my dad was a veteran. Of course, my husband is a veteran. We are absolute patriots. We are for veterans. We are for Sam Shoemate. Okay, I know him as Terminal CWO. I know him as that. He, is not uh, he's not huge on social media, but he has a successful um, accounts, I guess on Instagram. I'm not really much on Instagram. I need to be on Instagram. Well, we'll work on that one. But, um, you know, he is successful in advocating for veterans, okay, for veterans that have suffered since 2019, since then, and this absolute insanity that was brought into the military, okay? The Trojan horse that was brought into the military. Um, and we were witnesses to that. We couldn't believe it. Of course, being part of the military community all my life, I absolutely understand these different tides and different leadership and things happening. And, um, no, felt very strongly that this was not a good time for Richard to join the military. But he did, he wanted to, and he became a two-time distinguished honor graduate. Um, and this hero whistleblower, God had a plan for our son, right? God had a plan for our son. We truly believe that because it's just um, very humbling to see what a hero our son is. Very humbling. He did such a remarkable thing, and at such a young age. So, going back to Terminal CWO, because of his advocacy, because of what he had experienced in the military, because of what he experienced and saw, right? And saw, some people, they're there and they just go with the flow. They don't look. They're wearing blinders. They don't look. They don't see the risk, what is happening to our Constitution, to our rights, to the security of the United States. But Sam Shoemate did see it, right? And he was advocating for veterans that also saw the risk to our country, to our military, with the leadership that I've been talking about, the leadership that obviously had other intentions besides defending our Constitution. Obviously had other intentions than securing our military bases. Obviously had other intentions than to secure the safety of and the training of our volunteer sons and daughters. Obviously had other intentions than keeping the mental and physical health of our volunteer sons and daughters a priority. Obviously, they were compromised. Obviously, they had no good intentions. Obviously, okay? There's no other way to put it, and I can make that list go on and on and on. And I'm sure that Sam Shoemate, Terminal CWO, could do the same thing. He could make that list go on and on, and he has on all of his platforms. Um, but what I want to say about him is that he, at the center of this breaking news story, okay, which floored us, that he was like the center of it, because he is not, this huge podcaster. He's successful in his advocacy for veterans, but but he's not huge. And here he is at the center. And how is he at the center? He so on New Year's, um a Tesla truck blew up in front of a Trump hotel in Las Vegas. And please correct me where I'm wrong. But uh it blew up. It had explosives in there, but from what I understand, it was like um fireworks and garbage stuff that would explode, okay? So this man that they said that was in the vehicle, okay? Not much damage was done because the Tesla truck is, um it's supposed to be bulletproof, right? So it's a pretty tough truck. Um so not much damage was done from the explosive, but allegedly they found remains inside the truck that like were a suicide. Well, look, they try to pin that on so many, and I don't know if I'm even allowed to say it. I probably shouldn't have said it. They try to pin that on so many, and yeah. And in this looking of benefits and everything like that, that has been very interesting, because there's like a 2 year, like you can't do that within the first 2 years. The benefits might not be paid out. You have to wait until after 2 years. Well, it's interesting. July 2020 was like just a little bit after the 2 year mark for Richard, which is an interesting point, but I'm diverging from the conversation. The conversation is that this truck was a huge incident. It blew up. And the individual that they said that was in the vehicle had couple days beforehand emailed Sam Shoemate of Terminal CWO, and said that he was on his way to Mexico. You can read the whole thing. I don't want to, tell you this whole story, but the point of it is that it wasn't a person that was on the edge, that was planning on, you know, not being here for very long. He absolutely had intentions and plans, that he was for the future, So that is really important. But he also was, military, and he had information about drone technology and all of these drones that are flying around and this and that. And I know through my dad and being born at White Sands, uh, you know, uh, Fort Bliss and White Sands is a huge area for testing all this new technology, right? And there's things that I know about over the border and the plastics that are used to make these drones and all this technology, but there is something that this Matthew Livelsberger was saying to Terminal CWO, and that was about the gravitic propulsion of these drones. I have it written down in my notes here. And I don't know much about that. I just know that this is what the controversy is all about, is that, the US and China has this technology, and it's coming out of submarines. These drones are being launched out of submarines, and he's saying they're very, very fast, and it's an amazing story that we are at danger, and it is the biggest threat to national security because they could carry these payloads, and all of this. I mean, this discussions are just goes on, and that they're jaw dropping, and that Sam Shoemate of Terminal CWO shared this information with Shawn Ryan because this Matthew Livelsberger, the soldier that was supposed to be, I think he's Green Beret. These are all very amazing veterans, right? They're all very amazing veterans, and they all have their connections and their training and all of this. I don't know that. I'm just the wife of a veteran, right? Just a wife, just a mother of a veteran, just a daughter of a veteran. So I get some of this. I never wanted to join the military. I just wanted to support the military, right? And I've done that my whole life, supported the military. Um, but anyway, this Sam Shoemate, he contacts Shawn Ryan because there's like, I don't know really who he is that much. Now I do. But he's this huge podcaster with Intel. He has Intel communication. He has access to certain individuals that can give him information. And so Sam Shoemate notified him that he had this email and, text messages and stuff like that from this Matthew Livelsberger. I think there was deletions, and it's pretty fascinating. It would take me a few hours, and as time goes on, I'll know it better. But we focus on our son's case, right? That's the case we know. But Shawn Ryan had Sam Shoemate on his podcast, which is huge, and it has millions of views now. And the military got involved, the PAO, and you know how we think about PAOs. Allie. um, yeah, we are Brown Bell, right? Brown Bell, and the PAOs, they're there to cover for the leadership that are up to no good. And that explains a lot about the PAO, right? Allie Payne and Nick Brown Bell. It really explains a lot about this asymmetric warfare in our son's case. But Shawn Ryan, in this amazing interview with Sam Shoemate, they discussed that, and it was like, oh, yeah, they absolutely verified the problems with PAOs, public affairs officers, and their teams. So that was, it was just jaw dropping to hear that whole conversation and to see Terminal CWO in this conversation, because, and this is where it's really, we have posted, Team Find Richard Halliday have posted for years. Is it years? I don't know. Maybe it's a year and a half. Maybe it is 2 years. But reaching out to veterans, we've posted consistently on Terminal CWO. And we were really getting, we've been banned everywhere, shadow banned, things like that from these posts because, people are very scared. They know about the criminal trafficking. They know about the El Paso cartel. They know about the Mexican cartel. They know about the risk in looking into this. And so they're very, individuals get very fearful, and they need to, they're protecting their own. Absolutely understand all of that. But Sam Shoemate stood by our side. He stood by our side, and he was never afraid. He told us, you can post whatever you want here on my chat, on my site. You can post. Ma'am, you can post. Very respectful. It was so refreshing to have someone so respectful of Richard, and offering condolences for Richard, and caring about Richard, and caring about getting to the truth about Richard. And so he, even when we were being attacked by the asymmetric warfare criminal group, he stood by us fearlessly. When his main objective was to advocate for the veterans that did not want to take the Cobra strike and were kicked out of the military, and the insanity that surrounds that whole issue. That was his main objective. And yet he stood by our family and our pursuit to find out what happened to our veteran son, our whistleblowings, and it was because of him. There's many. It's Team Find Richard Halliday. But I really have to make sure that people, because they're attacking him. And I want everyone to know that lots of intelligence came from being able to post and let people know what was going on in our son's case on terminalcwo. And we're very grateful for that. And we're very grateful for his courage, to stand by us and even defend us because of the attacks. So, and to outwardly support us to others and say, the Halliday family can absolutely post here. And this, that's something that I wanted everyone to know. So when we heard that someone like Matthew Livelsberger would send him an email plea for help and also to entrust information to him, that made sense to us. That made a lot of sense to us. And so, whatever they're saying about Sam Shoemate, I think you need to discern it very, very carefully and know that there is a criminal group that have been exploiting our military and our country, and that have infiltrated our military and will try to make veterans look really bad, try to make the good veterans look really bad while protecting those that are traitors, that are treasonous, that are up to no good. And I think it's going to be difficult to weed through all the news and to know. But I can tell you this, that from our experience with Sam Shoemate, I would absolutely put him in the good guy category, the good veteran category, the brave, courageous veteran category. And so that tells me if Matthew Livelsberger, and some people are saying he's still alive, that this is, um, you know, this is that they were after him. And I don't know. I don't know all of that. I do know that Shawn Ryan, who is the big podcaster that had Sam Shoemate on his uh, podcast, I've heard that he's gone into, um, I guess, a safe house, right? A safe house. So, this is a really big deal. And I think because we have, uh, you know, what is it, 17, 16 days left until President Trump, the real law, and MAGA and the borders are, can operate judiciously and make America great again. I think that uh, there's going to be some gnashing of teeth and wailing and that. And so that's really the big news that we wanted to tell you. The other is the reports that we're getting that there has been tampering, there has been fraud in our son's case, um, and we're looking into that. That there was, and I'm talking about not, of course, there's fraud with his whistleblowing. Of course, there's fraud with his murder, the tampering. We know that. But then afterwards, in his death, we know that what happened to his remains is also criminal. But when you have a criminal group that is infiltrated and exploiting the system, and they have people in finance and in the IDS Pablo and in the offices that, and this criminal group has a history of fraud and forgery to get benefits. We know that with El Paso Community Foundation, with the Walmart mass shooting victims fund that was over 12 million. So they have a history of, tampering with birth certificates, exploiting the system to get benefits. And this, hearing these reports that in our son's case, they were absolutely trying to exploit. That is a hard report to hear, right? It's a hard report to hear that these people are so cold-blooded. So this is absolutely something that needs to be answered and looked into. Is it a possibility? Would they have the access? Would they have the access to the files? Would they know how to do all of the forms? Would they know, the manner? And would they have a chief medical examiner that they could manipulate? Would they have a funeral home that they could manipulate? Would they have, law enforcement agencies that they could manipulate? And the answer to every one of those is yes. Yes. And, are they all about getting money and benefits illegally? Yes. Yes. So, so these reports are really disturbing, but they raise a lot of red flags, and it just makes you get down on your knees and pray. Because these people, if this is, If this is their kind of operation, the criminal trafficking, hundreds of thousands of children that are now mostly dead, the Hearts Child Care, the LLCs, it's just, it gets so, yeah, it makes you speechless because it's so overwhelming. Um, but absolutely, we have to get to the bottom of it, and it cannot be tolerated. It can absolutely not be tolerated. So we absolutely want accountability. And it's so bad that the death penalty is, it's a good thing that this is happening in Texas and that the death penalty is there. I want to leave by saying that this is all for the safety and for our national security as a country. It's almost like a civil war, right? It's almost like, um, but this is for our veterans, for those like Richard that wanted to serve, honorably, being the Distinguished Honor Graduate 2 times, and hold the guidon and do whatever was asked of him without complaining, quote unquote, from his first sergeant. Be the fastest runner in his unit. Just try to aspire to serve his country, and of course, um, get some mentorship, get some education, get some training for his future. Absolutely. So, but for soldiers like him, for service members like him, um, this this kind of retaliation, this kind of danger that the leadership that or these, I don't even want to call them leadership, these criminals that are wearing our beautiful uniforms with our beautiful stars and leading our sons and daughters into harm and danger, harm and danger. uh it cannot be tolerated. So, and from Matthew Livelsberger's, what I got from it all is that that's what he was saying too. That's what he was saying too. And he wanted somebody like terminalcwo, um, that is brave and courageous and does not blink an eye to stand next to the Halliday family, the targeted whistleblower and his family, that he absolutely would take even hits too. Just think about all the people that we know that have been bullied and harassed and threatened behind the scenes, and witnesses being intimidated, and it goes on and on. And he was willing to be courageous and take the stand beside us. And so we wanted everyone to know that. So thank you. And pray for Shawn Ryan. Millions and millions of views on that. We would love millions and millions of views about Richard's case, definitely, because that would drive, when the public understands Richard's case, they won't tolerate this done to our volunteer sons and daughters. And that's why they try to shut us up. That's why they try to ban us. That's why they work very hard putting in these fake complaints. or they know the rules better than I know the rules, and they will, listen for any little violation and report it and everything. Um, it's because they don't want the truth to get out. They want their criminality to survive so that they can act with impunity, that they can have their fake judges and their fake medical examiners and their fake everything to let them do harm and danger with impunity, and that cannot be tolerated. So we appreciate those that have taken a stand beside us, and we absolutely, with with the flag in hand, are taking a stand for our son and for our country, and and that means the land and the people, the Constitution, the land and the people. That's what gives us our freedom and our rights. And these criminals trying to take that from us, yeah, we're going to take a stand for that. So thank you so much. God bless you. And I